Atheist Nomads, episode 286, A Plague of Locusts. This week, patrons get about an extra 15 minutes, including most of the juiciest stuff.
Hi, my name is Lois, and this is a BS Nomads. Someone's maybe inappropriate.
Welcome to their episode of Atheist Nomads. I am Dustin. Joining me is Lauren.
Hello.
We have Erin.
Hello.
And we have Mikey.
Hey, gang.
So,
Hi.
Yeah, we are keeping up the whole, let's see how outnumbered Dustin can be on how many categories.
Yes.
Yes.
3 against 1. You're screwed.
I mean, I'm not really against him. I'm really just for myself.
Yes.
That's
Oh,
true.
yeah,
You're just
Right.
I'm predictable
what
like
is
that.
chaotic neutral.
I fluctuate. I think having a static alignment is a boring personality trait.
This is true. This is true.
So we have an announcement.
You're pregnant.
Congratulations, Dustin.
Yay!
That belly of his is actually a beer baby.
Erin is our new co-host.
What?
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
How much are they paying you?
Don't know.
Not enough.
Not enough?
I mean,
That's so
unless
funny.
we have more supporters.
Unless we get more supporters.
Which was funny because I listened to the podcast
we
last
have more
week.
mouths to feed.
Because now that I'm the co-host, I'm like, oh, okay, I'll listen to all of them until I have to listen to myself. But I did hear, Dustin, you said, I don't like asking for money. I'm like, perfect, because I love asking for money.
That works. Yeah.
I can do it.
Cha-ching.
And patrons already know.
Yes.
The regulars already know.
Yeah.
And those of you who are smart enough to read the between the lines with my major fuck up last week also could figure it out.
Because of Jason Ward. Damn you.
Jason.
Yeah.
Curse you, Jason. Curse your black bones.
He is now known as Spoiler Jason.
So I edited out the spoiler.
What did he spoil?
He said,
Aaron's the new
I'm I'm the co-host now.
something about me.
Aaron, take that, Erin. And then Jason said, I'm the new co-host now.
Yeah.
And then he asked, has that been announced yet? And I said, no.
Well,
and then they were like, let's edit it out. And then
that didn't get edited out.
Because it's a good quality podcast when they say, we better edit that out.
And then it never
gets
happens.
So
editing is a lot of work, you guys. That's why I don't do it.
So I fixed it after I got home. By that point, it had already been downloaded
a couple of times.
About half the time it will be downloaded this month.
Yeah.
And I'd figured at that point, I'll just leave that part in.
Yeah.
So that part stayed in for everybody. So if you...
It's no surprise. Yeah. Hey, welcome aboard, Erin. Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
It's she has to actually listen to the show now.
No,
like I've ever listened to a single episode I've ever been on.
I know. Except for now, we've totally guaranteed that she won't, because she won't listen to ones with her in it.
I won't listen to ones.
It's hard to listen to yourself.
I know. It really is, because I'm like, why did I say that?
It's like
what's this tone?
It's like public speaking. It's a skill that you learn.
Yeah. Well, I love it. Obviously, I love talking, and I can get up and talk in front of people. I love doing that, but I hate watching myself, and I hate listening to myself.
So the first time I was on a podcast, I was a guest on Chariots of Iron, and I listened to it, and I hated the sound of my voice, and I hated listening to myself.
Now he can't get enough.
So I listened to it probably 20 times.
Yeah.
Until it stopped sounding weird. And then the next time I was on, I listened to it 5 or 10 times until it stopped sounding weird. And eventually, I got to where I have no problem editing myself.
That's good. Well, good.
Yeah.
But I'm not editing anything, so I don't want to listen to myself.
It has to become clinical like anything else.
Yeah.
Like massage therapy or proctology.
And so that goof that I made in the editing was right at the very end. I pressed the wrong key when I was doing a selection, so it selected everything before the edit point. And then when I extended it earlier, it basically wiped out all of the edits and overwrote a bunch of, non-destructively, so I was able to fix it, but it covered up a lot of good conversation. And that is, oh, man.
I mean, it was just Jason. It's fine.
Yeah, he can always come back.
Yeah.
He's a smart guy.
And I can't wait till he listens to this and then he tells me about how I was being mean.
If he listens.
Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, we're calling you out, Jason.
Let's see if you listen.
Okay, next time we see you, wear a blue hat.
Yes. And no underwear. That was for me. See what I mean? It's just for me.
All right. And one other update is if you are in Boise, you can join us at Humanists of Idaho's Potluck with the Atheist Nomads on January 27.
You're having a meet and greet?
We've been invited to speak to them after the potluck and talk about the podcast. So,
oh, wow. That's riveting.
This is going to be cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I'm always looking for.
This is my first podcast-related speaking gig that I've gotten that didn't result in but didn't coincide with the event being canceled.
Oh, well, good. I hope it's not canceled.
Yeah.
Yeah, it sounds like fun. You guys love fun.
Mm-hmm.
We love
get to meet
potlucks.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I fucking love
I'm
potlucks.
all over that.
The secret to meeting fans is to not talk to them for very long.
Yeah, yeah.
You got to keep it
30
really
seconds.
short.
And a lot of these
Yeah.
people are people we already know.
Actually,
Oh, those aren't real fans.
they're friends.
No.
They're friends. They're friends. That's
They're
the phrase we're
friends.
bringing back.
And the other thing is, I know from experience being the guest of honor to Potluck
Yeah.
is awesome.
How often
guest
have you
of
done
honor.
that? Is that
Every
like,
time I preached in college.
oh, okay. Oh, that is a churchy thing.
We're all
I was
like,
like, what?
Guest of honor of a potluck. How do I
eat
get
the most?
Do you-
You brought the best egg salad. You're the guest of honor. We all have gas because of you.
Oh, one of them I had to take 2 Benadryl
Yeah.
by the time it was over,
Oh,
and then drive 250 miles
Holy
back to campus.
holy.
Oh, that was painful.
Yeah, I bet it'd be rough for you normies.
That was the Adventist church in kind of the northern part of the Yakima Valley that
Yeah.
was super conservative, and they were all competing over who could be the most vegan at a potluck.
Oh my God, woke
Nobody
Christians.
wins at these
Oh
potlucks.
no.
So
Oh no, it's not woke with Adventists.
Okay.
Vegan Adventists are nut jobs.
Well, I
And
thought
they use a
Adventists
lot
were
of-
mostly nut jobs.
Did they
So
use
are
a lot-
people who refer to themselves as woke. So
Yeah.
Yeah, I know, right?
But in the general scheme of things, Adventists who eat meat tend to be the least crazy,
liberal.
Metal.
and the
Progressive.
more they trend towards vegetarian and vegan, the nuttier they tend to be.
Yeah.
Nuttier, because
know.
they use that as a replacement.
And
that's what I was going to
yeah.
say. Don't they use that as
Yeah.
a replacement for nuts?
Almond butter. What keeps
Uh-huh.
landing on my
Aren't you allergic? You're allergic to nuts.
Most of them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so it makes vegan potlucks very difficult,
Yeah,
I'm
for
sure.
real.
Uh-huh.
You can't have that nut loaf.
Nope.
No fake cheese for you, sir.
And at that point, I didn't know what I was allergic to. I just knew I had a lot of weird
Oh,
allergies.
yeah.
And so potlucks were basically Russian roulette.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Yeah. All right, let's go ahead and move into Dustin off the degree. And we're going to talk about plagues.
Love it.
Yay!
Yeah. So the Bible and Quran
Not even Easter.
have lots of stories of plagues, but the most famous are the plagues in the book of Exodus. God called Moses to leave the desert that he was hiding in to go command Pharaoh to free the Hebrew slaves. Not all the slaves, just the ones that were descended from Jacob. So just the special slaves. Then God...
The
I
special
can just see
slave.
God like looking at Moses hiding in the desert. He's like, dude, I can totally see you. Dude, just get out of there. You're embarrassing yourself.
I just think it's special slaves.
Uh-huh, uh-huh.
I'm a
Quote,
slave, but
unquote.
I'm a special slave.
So then God hardens Pharaoh's heart, which
Yeah,
is
that
not
God did that.
which is not to be confused with coronary artery disease.
I was gonna say,
You're writing
You know,
jokes now. You're
statin.
writing jokes now. Look at you. Up in your game.
This just made sure that Pharaoh would be a stubborn jackass.
Well, I mean, yeah, I guess. I think you're...
Wait, God
you're
hardened his heart and made him
Remember,
a jackass?
The pharaohs were inbred motherfuckers, for real, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's not like, you could just blame... I mean, it could have just been some
It
sort
could
of
have been
mental
cardiomegaly.
deformity. Like, I mean,
Oh,
it
yeah.
could be anything. But
The
whatever.
way you became Pharaoh was by being a son of the previous Pharaoh who married
His sister.
the daughter of the
Cousin.
premier wife. So
yeah.
it was only half brother, half sister.
I mean,
Well, I
only.
thought Oxycontin, however you said his name, Oxycontin.
Mhm.
Yes, exactly. That was good.
Tutankhamun?
Yeah. Didn't he marry his sister?
Yes.
They all did.
Okay.
It was all half-sisters.
Yeah. Okay, they're all... Yeah, okay, yeah. So anyway...
Yeah.
But God hardened his heart. That's nice.
Okay.
But
Hey,
one thing that was kinda weird,
wait. I got a joke.
Oh, no. Now it has to be funny.
Make it happen.
Why did King Tut never get invited to a party? Because he was always Tutankhamun.
I don't get it.
Toot and fart.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Now, but the one thing with the
Like how we're like, and we're moving on. Great, Lauren. Good
Kill
job.
the room.
the one thing with the pharaonic inbreeding that made it sustainable
Yeah.
was the fact that the only sister that a pharaoh married was to become the pharaoh was the oldest daughter of the pharaoh's first and most premier wife, or a daughter of the premier wife. Pharaoh was descended from the previous pharaoh and a woman who is not a relative.
Also known as the first mummy.
So they made sure that some fresh genetics
Step mummy.
Yeah.
kept coming in,
Yeah.
but
That's
the bare minimum possible.
Right.
Yeah.
I feel like I need a diagram. I'm trying to like
Do we
think of
need
it
a-
in my
Right,
mind
draw
where it's
along.
like
Maybe
some
not.
lines and
Yep. Family
So,
tree.
Instead of just being a family vine,
It looks like a
Right.
chain link fence.
yeah,
Basically, did that help?
yes.
The link goes to the link.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, so you do get an insertion of more mitochondrial DNA, which I guess, I don't know. I'm not a scientist.
no, they kept the mitochondria
because it's that goes
completely
to the
mitochondria
female.
follows one line.
Yeah,
Right.
okay, so that follows one line. Also, the easiest thing to track genealogy through.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, yeah.
That's because
That's,
it's the powerhouse of the cell.
Yes. Ooh, well done. See, that was good.
Yeah.
That was good.
Nice.
We learned that a lot.
All right, so then to punish Pharaoh for his God-ordained obstinance,
This is what you get for listening to God.
God took it out on the
Dick.
Egyptian people
Fuck them.
with plagues. And these plagues were turning all of the water into blood, which is just
Free
weird.
protein. You know,
Gross.
that's
I mean, I hear it keeps your skin fresh.
Only if it's virginal.
only
No,
if it's,
no,
it might have been
only
virginal.
if it's from when you gave birth to something.
Yeah.
Frogs,
And we've seen what happened with the cane toad, so that's,
lice,
That is a play.
worst summer of my life.
wild animals, probably of a venomous variety.
Okay.
So think snakes, scorpions, poisonous spiders,
Slow Loris.
diseased
It's the
livestock.
only mammal that's poisonous. It's
I like
funny.
how diseased livestock happens just after there's venomous shit crawling everywhere.
Oh, yeah.
Oh no, a new plague.
Then
Yeah.
We're bad at science.
boils on the people, which could also happen from
Cowpox.
being stung by
Right.
poisonous creatures.
Slow Loris.
I've had a boil once. It was from a recluse bite.
Did you get it lanced?
Yes. Multiple times.
Yeah.
This way, it like hurts my skin to think about these things.
Oh yeah. It was
Yeah.
terrible. Then a hailstorm,
Oh no.
followed by locusts. So we've already
Gross.
attacked the livestock. Now we're the crops in the field.
Right.
Then 3 days of darkness, and then the death of the firstborn of both the humans and livestock.
Huh.
How did
It's like,
Never
and then shit gets real.
mind. Yeah. Also, your cows are dying. All right, fine.
So the frogs and lice both just seem kind of strange and basically just annoying. I think with the frogs, where
There's
it
a
gets-
number though. There's a number of frogs. I think that would become a plague.
Oh, and the worst part was then they all died, and so you have a bunch of rotting frogs everywhere.
Yeah, that would be
Gross.
the worst.
That's a lot of frog
So
legs.
Ugh.
Then you have the contaminated water with the blood that would just make everybody sick, and
Well, I mean, were they drinking water back then anyway?
mostly beer.
Yeah.
Beer.
Some scientists feel like the Egyptians are one of the oldest people because they got together to make mead first. So
Ooh.
you need a civilization to make alcohol.
So what
Uh-huh.
you're saying is that I just need to drink mead and then I'll live to 103.
It could happen.
And a pack of cigarettes, according to some 100 plus year olds.
Eh.
This is from conversation before we started
Yes.
recording.
Oh, yeah.
It's a
Sorry.
callback, you guys.
Call
Yeah.
back to just us.
So then you have an invasion of venomous creatures that could injure or kill everyone and all the livestock.
Right.
You have diseased livestock, which would reduce productivity in the case of horses and oxen. It
Also,
would
it's
also
gross.
cut into food supply, and if the diseases cross into humans, it could kill everyone.
Right.
Cowpox.
Or
Mad cow.
smallpox came from all of the
herpes,
big bad diseases all cross to humans from livestock.
And we all
which is also how our diseases killed people in the Americas, is they hadn't evolved to defend against that.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, chemical warfare. We're so good at it.
The hail and locusts would destroy all the crops.
Yeah.
Hail is
And
still
dents the shit out of your carriage.
Oh yeah, hail is still a huge concern around cutting time. Prolonged darkness would be evidence of volcanic activity that could threaten crops. If it's dark long enough, it will definitely affect the crops.
Right.
And I think the venomous creatures and the dead babies is pretty obvious as to how that's bad.
Right.
But any of these plagues by themselves could cause the collapse of civilization.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
by definition, that's what plagues are.
This is literally overkill.
It is a
Overkill
disease.
by overkill by overkill.
It's a plague is something bad that happens that can destroy society. The biblical plagues is Egypt would not exist after going through that many plagues.
I know you threw out the volcano idea, but that's a theory that's out there, isn't that a lot of these are the retellings of a volcanic activity in the area, and then it's just put in a different order?
Right. Well, like you've got in the 1800s, there was the Year Without a Summer, which was one of the inspirations for creating the New York subway system when there was a blizzard on the 4th of July that shut down the city.
Oh, wow.
People starved because it was snowing all summer long. There weren't crops that year.
Yeah.
That was in the 1800s.
Yeah.
You've got the bubonic plague that wiped out a third of Europe's population. The diseases brought to the New World, killing 90% of the population of the indigenous peoples. The potato famine, most famous for Ireland, but it hit all of Europe.
Right.
Ireland just had the most potato-heavy diet.
Yeah.
And if you read any pioneer story, you're going to get stories of locusts blacking out the sky, stripping the fields bare.
Right.
And the people having to move on or they'll die.
Right.
That's also because that's part of a locust natural life cycle. That just it's like the cicadas. There's
Mormon crickets.
Mormon crickets. Oh my gosh, man! When those things come out in the summer and you're driving down the desert road, man, they start.
It's disgusting.
You
to
slip
drive
and
over.
slide.
Yeah.
Good thing they're ugly.
So these plagues, these are all of the scariest things that an ancient person would think about.
Right.
So perfect for a storyteller to write into a. These are all the most worst terrible things.
Yeah. Which will segue nicely into our first news story. The holiest site in Islam is being plagued by swarms of locusts.
Now?
Currently, yes. An estimated 30,000 black grasshoppers, to be precise.
Wow.
And I predict that Christians will call this God's judgment on Islam. Iran will call it God's judgment on Saudi Arabia. And Sunni Muslims will call it insect migration.
Yeah, it's insect migration now.
Right.
Yeah. But they've mobilized as many pest control and grounds people to go around through the Grand Mosque and kill as many breeding grasshoppers as they can, wipe out nesting sites, just try to wipe them out.
Yeah.
It's pretty crazy. Now, is it just a natural cycle, like every, 300 years or something, or is it just...
I'm sure it is.
I didn't follow up on this story very much.
I thought it was hilarious.
Yeah.
I didn't look at much detail.
I mean, they
I'm
didn't
just
really
curious.
say much in the article, so...
This was just a funny headliner.
Yeah. But I think, it's got to be a life cycle thing, so...
Yeah, I don't know.
I'm no entomologist or
yeah.
anything.
I am, though.
Ooh, good use of word entomologist.
I'm an entomologist.
But all you have to do is talk to people in Utah or Texas, and no, this just happens.
Yeah, it's one of the things that happens here. I know it happens in other dry parts occasionally. Locusts themselves are fascinating creatures.
They're creepy.
Well, and they're bugs.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and it's just... I know there's got to be... I know that there's one that burrows underground and every X amount of years
Those are
come up.
cicadas.
Those are cicadas, yeah.
Yeah, cicadas.
Yeah.
And then they scream into the void.
Well, and then can I just say that I refused in biology to dissect. That was the one thing I refused to dissect was a large ass grasshopper. I was like, nope, not doing it.
Oh, wow.
This is gross.
It's a general.
It smelled so bad.
It's a successful breeding plan because if you can reproduce in large enough numbers, all in as short of a period of time,
Right.
the chance of having predators that want you that is lower, and they can't overwhelm the population.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. There's
just hedging their
opportunistic
bets.
predatory behaviors like birds and stuff like that. But it's just such a general nuisance because they cloud the air and the ground and on every plant.
Yeah.
And they
you're
eat everything.
Slipping and sliding.
Yeah.
Slipping and sliding.
All right, but sticking with Saudi Arabia,
Uh-huh.
Mhm.
Rahaf al-Qunun is the 18-year-old daughter of a Saudi Arabian government official, and while visiting Kuwait with family, she escaped, hopping on a plane to Australia with a stop in Bangkok. The reason for the escape was that she wanted to be free to work and study as she wants, which is not possible in Saudi Arabia,
Right.
since her father is still her guardian and will be until she gets married. She's endured physical and emotional abuse from her parents, including being locked in her room for 6 months because she cut her hair.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, they're really controlling there with a lot of women. It's crazy.
She's also renounced Islam, which is punishable by death.
Mm.
Right.
She cannot go back.
Nope. She will not live if she goes back. So she got to Bangkok, and a Saudi diplomat met her at the gate and took her passport from her.
Oh, great.
This left her stuck in the international terminal of an airport without any papers. The Thai authorities wanted to send her back to her family,
Oh,
and she was able to barricade herself in a hotel room and blast Twitter,
Yeah, it's all.
which got the attention of the UN High Commissioner for Refugees, and he was able to convince the Thai government to let them take care of it.
oh, nice.
In the end, she was granted asylum in Canada by Prime Minister Justin Trudeau and was greeted at the Toronto airport by the Canadian Foreign Affairs Minister.
It's funny how often they accept immigrants at the same time they're mistreating their own First Nations people.
Mhm.
Uh-huh.
Like Canada's
Isn't that
weird like that. It's like we
hilarious?
like your
Yeah.
brown people, not ours. Ours are horrible. Yours are good though.
They'll
Yeah,
take
the
one at
Canadians
a
are weird.
They'll take special interest refugees. Apparently, it is actually very difficult to get into Canada.
Mm-hmm.
Good.
But yeah, I mean, what you say, that's true about every country, isn't it? I mean,
Well, I mean those that have them. Yeah, if you still
Right.
have Aboriginal tribes,
Yeah.
Mhm.
First Nations peoples, yeah, it's just an awkward thing to still have around.
Well, and
For sure.
there's kind of also the whole thing that Saudi Arabia and Canada don't have official relations right now.
Mhm.
They're in the middle of quite the diplomatic spat, and this gave Justin Trudeau a chance to flip Saudi Arabia the bird.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fuck you.
Yeah, diplomacy.
How often does the prime minister grant asylum?
Right.
I don't
right.
know.
I don't know.
Not often?
Normally, it just goes through.
this was definitely
I don't know,
a
Canada.
PR move on his part.
Yeah.
This did not go through normal channels. This
Right.
was
Yeah.
Right.
the top saying, "Let her in."
Well,
They let her in.
do you think it's also because she made it so public too?
Yes.
And it was
It's
like,
100%.
hey,
If she hadn't had access to social media, she'd have been sent back. The numbers of people that get sent back to their own countries by all sorts of countries are just terrifyingly high.
right.
And this has also brought to light other women who've escaped Saudi Arabia, met similar situations, and got sent back.
Yeah, I mean,
And
yeah,
have
they
never
just
been
didn't have-
heard from again.
Right.
Yep.
It helps to be on social media. It helps to be a young, attractive woman
Mhm.
trying to get help. That's just how we're wired
Yeah.
as human beings. It's gross.
In
I mean, unless
Canada.
you're her. I'm glad it worked out for her though.
Right.
I mean, like nothing. I mean, yay. It worked, but it is weird that it's all political posturing, and under normal circumstances, they'd been like, your life's gonna suck forever. Goodbye.
For as long as you
Right.
have left.
Well, because you said her family is political, right?
Yeah.
I mean, she has more access than
Oh, yeah.
she had more. Not that she had a lot, but she still had more access than some.
She was able to buy an airline ticket from Kuwait City to somewhere in Australia.
Right.
She was able to, even after having her passport seized, secure a hotel room for a week at the Bangkok airport. This is a hotel.
But did she get her money back for that first ticket?
This is a hotel inside of the international terminal.
Yeah.
That would be an expensive ass hotel.
Right.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying, again, just like you, Mike, I'm not saying like, oh, well, look at that. Look at all that privilege. It's good that she's out, obviously.
It does draw attention to the need, though.
Yes.
Which is great.
There are probably thousands, at least thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of young women in Saudi Arabia going through the exact same brutal experiences, wanting out, who don't have the resources to do it.
Right. Exactly. Yes.
They can drive now, some of them.
If their dads say they can.
Yeah.
That's better than before.
And if he comes along.
I just couldn't even imagine. Like, I have a hard enough time being a lady here. I could not even imagine what it would be like.
Ugh.
Yep.
Tough. All right.
So we've been tracking for several months now China's actions against their Uyghur Muslim population.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they're anti-religious.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty strongly, yeah.
And in the latest move, the Chinese government has passed a new law outlining a 5-year plan to Sinicize the region, which means make it Chinese.
Yeah.
Right.
Because this is what the Chinese does.
And also make Islam...
Also us?
True.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And to also make Islam compatible with socialism.
Well, yeah. And so by wiping out.
Or by making sure that somebody who is Han Chinese is in charge of it.
They've already done that.
It's like, it's a similar process to gentrification. You change the things you can change until you can change the next thing you can change. And their ultimate goal is to secularize everybody so that they can pledge allegiance to the state.
Yeah.
It's old school communism.
They want everybody, and it's this weird nationalistic communism where they also want everyone to be Han Chinese. And anybody who is not Han Chinese, they want to be indistinguishable from Han Chinese.
Oh, they are super racist.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so there's that.
One detail that has come out is that there are 8 Islamic associations who have agreed to this.
Mm-hmm.
They haven't been named, so nobody knows whether these are the equivalent of a non-denominational independent church.
Or a major branch.
Or if it's a major group. And I'm going to guess the leaders of these associations were threatened with being sent to the concentration camp if they didn't.
Yeah, they're not really offered a lot of choice, though. I mean, if you're going to practice your faith inside the confines of the state, I mean, you have only so many choices, and you can't really. In the modern age, it's harder to fight against a nationalist movement like this because they can track your movement.
Yeah,
like what are you going to do? Not have a cell phone? They know who you are, so now they know where you are at all times. It's not like the 90s. Yeah, so
all right, Lauren is making leave with the baby.
Yeah, as is the prophecy is foretold.
The Sinicizing process with what China's already done in other parts of China will probably involve, and what they're already doing in Xinjiang, is they're going to prohibit beards. They're going to prohibit headscarves.
Right.
I already want to kill myself.
Dictate how people dress.
No.
They're going to remove access to halal foods and other halal products.
Yeah, they'll make it a light version of the religion first, and then it'll be easier to get rid of.
Yeah, and a great model for this is the official Catholic Church in China, which is different than the Roman Catholic Church that is loyal to the Pope in China. One is officially allowed, and the other one is illegal.
But you can always claim to be in one, right, while practicing the other. Like, there's got to be loopholes.
Of course. In the basement.
Yeah, but if you're in the official group,
locked.
you're going to be watched closer than anybody else.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Seems like the Chinese have a lot of employees watching other people.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Why don't they just mind their own damn business? Because they can't.
In China, that is their business.
Exactly.
Well, that's one way to do things. They are the longest running superpower, so it's weird we're all like, human rights, nobody's doing a great job on that, and they're not good at it at all, but we're really, really picky about the group of people who have been running a country longer than anybody else. Like, that's weird.
Yeah.
Yeah, they suck at this thing that they're better at than everybody. That's so... depending on how you measure success, it was only till recently we gave half a crap about human rights issues anyway. It's a really new thing that we're even pretending to care about. And
China has no history of democracy. That's a very foreign, bizarre concept to them.
They absorbed some capitalism and they're just utilizing it. Their official policy is they want a peaceful ascension back into being the main world power. So they're doing everything they can to make long-running plans to be in charge, and they've got the numbers. You know, they've got falling iPhone sales, and car sales have dropped, and individual businesses within China are having softened market sales, but overall the country is still like going out. Middle-class Chinese people are still out buying expensive restaurants, investing in like baby stuff.
Oh yeah.
So the China's peaceful ascension is not inevitable, but it's probably inevitable.
Yeah. That or a complete collapse.
Yeah, but I mean, our form of democracy has collapsed every other time it's been used. So it's just like I said, once again, they're better at this than we are. Why are we, the new kids on the block with a crappy constitution, acting like, oh yeah, we're so superior to them while we export our own jingoism? How dare they do the same? Yeah, it's the weirdest hypocritical stuff where we're actually wrong on everything other than we're more advanced on human rights issues.
Now, a great example is some of the stuff they're doing with the Uyghurs is the same stuff we were doing with Native Americans on reservations 100 years ago.
Yeah, just governments are not nice entities.
We're still doing it.
Yeah.
Well, not to the extent of prohibiting the speaking of their language, of dictating exactly how their educational systems work, and forcing
you're your own sovereign nation now. Here's how to run that.
Yeah,
that's very American.
Oh gosh,
we're exporting democracy.
Yeah.
Well, for a great example on that, we have U.S. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo, who just made a trip to Egypt, essentially for the launch of the Trump administration's Middle East policy.
Yeah, he did a religious thumping, basically. Yeah, right.
Yep, he basically gave a sermon at the American University in Cairo, with lines like, I keep a Bible open on my desk to remind me of God and his word and the truth. He's keeping the same bullet points from his Christian American speeches. And then he's taking them to other parts of the world and acting like a crazy person, because on the world stage, it sounds even weirder. Yeah. When you're like, my religion is good and pure, and everyone else is like, psycho.
Right.
Like, he also talked about the new Coptic Christian cathedral in Cairo and called it a stunning testament to the Lord's hand.
Yeah, that's his point of view.
Right.
Yeah.
Except he's an evangelical Christian who I doubt he even really views Coptic Christians as Christian.
But it is convenient to try to tie the group in with your own belief system. I personally, a lot of this just goes back to the number of supporters that Trump has that's still in the evangelical camp, and how those are the few people who still support him, even in his own administration. So, I mean, a lot of these choices have been made based on political necessity, or just who isn't left. Maybe Pompeo, as psycho as some of these super Christians are, some of them are not being hypocritical on their moral stances, and it's possible Pompeo doesn't have skeletons. He's just a weirdo Christian. Which is weird to put on the public stage as the face of our nation, but maybe he's not having sex with hookers. Like, maybe he's not.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah. That's a new fun position.
Now, he did cover a little bit of policy in it, which was, it doesn't matter if you're a theocracy or a brutal dictator, as long as you hate Iran.
Yeah, that's been our Middle Eastern policy for years, which is how we end up in bed with the weirdest people. You know, like
Saudi Arabia.
Yeah, it's like, oh, you hate our current enemy? Well, then we're pals. Here's a bunch of nukes or whatever we're giving away right now. Here you go. Go use these on the bad guys. And then those people later decide we're the bad guys, because our imperialistic actions in their part of the world is dubious at best. Yeah, it's just weird. It's weird when a country sends a religious-centered speaker anywhere to make a political or policy speech.
Right.
Like, I don't care if they're Christian, because I don't care if you're Christian, but please don't make that the center of your public speaking in non-Christian centers. Like, it's just weird.
Yeah.
Try to normalize Christian. Yeah, it's proselytizing. It's very odd.
And, like, I was a seminary student when I went on a seminary-sponsored archaeological dig to Jordan. And if anybody got caught doing any proselytizing or even mentioning Jesus to a local, we would have been on the next flight home.
Really?
Well, I think that's a better way to handle it as a country, though. Like it's like because then you're enforcing it. But I mean, that's their standards. You guys can come in your religious dig, just don't be religious about it.
Yeah,
like, and that's fine. I think that's fair. But also, I don't believe in God anymore, so it's totally fine. Like, whatever, I don't care.
I also didn't really at that point.
Right. That does still sound like a fascinating thing, though.
For a second Trump cabinet member in the news, Ben Carson was supposed to be the keynote speaker at a prayer breakfast in Missouri.
He's such a robot. I hate that guy.
What do you mean?
He's the worst.
Yeah, it's pretty bad.
But he couldn't go because the government shutdown meant there weren't any government funds to pay for his trip to a prayer breakfast.
Finally, the government shutdown is a good thing. In this one case,
why were we paying for that shit in the first place? That's the part of this article that I'm curious about. Like, wait, why? I don't understand. Like, a lot of these people have money. Why can't you go for your prayer breakfast?
Right.
Like, why are we paying for that shit? It's not even a big drop in the bucket, but it's a weird drop to have.
That's not a campaign event, which can't be funded by the government.
Right.
Unless, realistically, he was probably going to do something health and human services related there.
Oh, yeah. You mean like having your business conversation for 30 seconds so you can tax write it off?
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, let's talk about business for the next 2 seconds while I sign this credit card slip.
Why do they still have prayer breakfast too? That just bothers me. Like every state has a prayer breakfast.
Prayer breakfasts are performative. They're performative. It is literally just, we're doing this because we're Christian. There's no real reason. Like, if you're going to get together with the fellowship, you can just do that. Like, that's how they were doing it in the New Testament anyway. They were just hanging out together. You don't have to make like, and now let us, against what we were told to do in the Bible, pray publicly. And then pray publicly. Like, I get it. I mean, it's a ridiculous thing, but it's just one of those rituals that the churches are infatuated with.
And it's a chance for the churches to organize something and invite government officials to see which ones are good Christians and the ones that pass the tests.
And it's a feather in the cap for the religious organization itself. Right. Because, we have cabinet members visiting our prayer luncheons. Right. What are you doing, Deborah? Kind of bullshit. Like, we're better than you.
Yeah.
And I don't think that's always the case. I think human nature being what it is, that's part of it. I think most true believers just like the idea of getting together to pray with other Christians and a religious leader, because that sounds like a thing that Christians do when they're winning.
Right.
Which is they definitely have a very binary way of looking at how it's going.
But isn't this a prayer breakfast for the governor? Isn't it some state thing?
Probably.
I only ask that because I know that we in Idaho have, and now we're more inclusive, but they have opening prayer for when the legislature comes in.
Oh, most legislatures
in
do
the Capitol. I know, but it's just, again, one of those things where it's like, why? What's? I thought we were. I don't know.
That's tradition.
I know, it's such a stupid tradition.
Congress has had chaplains since the first Congress, and
I don't know why I question these things and get baffled by it. But then I think about it, and then I'm like, this is dumb.
It's a governor's prayer breakfast, so it was for the governor.
Okay.
Yeah. So, meh.
There were no non-Christian speakers.
Wasn't he? It was on the whole thing of like, oh, I'm going to talk for 2 seconds about housing.
No, it was a governor's prayer breakfast. It had nothing to do with anything outside of the governor's prayer breakfast.
Right.
All the speakers were Christian.
Yep.
Yeah.
And our Secretary of Health and Human Services wasn't able to be a part of that.
Oh, shoot.
Yeah.
God, that guy is
Well, at least he'll stay awake this time around.
I don't remember who originally said it, but that guy definitely proves that you don't, just because you're smart enough to be a surgeon doesn't mean you could do anything else. Anything else. Like, he's good at one thing, and then everything else, it's like, no, man.
Well, and I wouldn't trust him to do pediatric neurosurgery anymore. Because it's obvious that his mental faculties have degraded over the last, as he's aged.
Right.
And he is not just past his prime, because they found surgeons' prime is 55 or so.
Okay.
And it's mostly just body degeneration that takes them out of the game. They just learn more, they become more skillful.
the dexterity and physical capability actually starts to decline in starting in the 40s. But experience is continuing to climb enough to counteract that until 55, where that decrease in capability starts winning out.
Yeah. Well, listen, robots are going to be doing all the surgeries here soon anyway, so
yeah.
We won't have to worry about that anymore. I would be so scared if I learned that Ben Carson was going to be my doctor. I'd be like, can I get a second opinion on that? And second surgeon.
20 years ago,
he
would have been the best person to operate on a child's brain.
Right.
He was the top of his game.
Yeah.
Something's not right with that guy anymore.
No.
Yeah. The American Family Association has started advertising a 12-disc video series.
This is so good.
That is produced by Dr. Ted Roberts, like pastor doctor type doctor.
Yeah.
Okay.
He is a former Marine fighter pilot turned pastor.
He's so manly.
Oh, so
and
manly.
yes, I know, once a Marine, always a Marine. He used to be a Marine fighter pilot.
That's what the Marines tell themselves. Nobody else says that.
So this video series,
it's true.
It has a prophetic voice. It's encouraging men to have sexual integrity with passion for their wives and their destiny. And it features lots of images of fighter jets, artillery. It's full of metaphors about battle. And the main point of it is to not masturbate.
Right. Well, I thought the main point was to step away from the porn.
Yep.
Step away.
Okay, so
but we're going to jack these up.
Okay, so let's go to the beginning of this. In the Old Testament, Onan was told to get his dead brother's sister pregnant, and he pulled out. He pulled out and he spilled his seed on the ground. That's the whole verse. That's really what happened.
Yep.
Yeah.
God said, get that lady pregnant, and he said, I couldn't finish inside my dead brother's wife, and which is fine. He's in a place.
That's right.
I get it. And from this specific verse, Christians have been running with this idea that you're not allowed to jack it. Like, because so it's not even in the Bible, because it's masturbation.
Are you trying to get your dead brother, sister pregnant?
Right.
This might apply.
So it's a weird sense of cherry picking where they pick the spoiled cherry and they're like, this is the shittiest take on this.
Yeah.
Like, because the real lesson, if you wanted to really look at it, it would not be that part. It would be about, having faith and trust in God's plan and yada, yada, and working against God's plan would be bad for you. But instead, all Christians walk away from is, hey, don't jerk it. So as I don't know if this happened to you when you guys were growing up, Erin, did you grow up religious?
Nope.
Okay, good. I like it. But for most of us that were religious, and I don't know how because I know with women, they usually just avoid the subject. But with men, very specific, when you're a teenager in Pentecostal and certain churches, they make it a sin to jack off. Right. So these things that every teenage boy does, no matter what you tell them, now all you're doing is giving them this guilty conscience.
Right.
So this guy...
The crazy thing I ran into was the Adventist church had driven that so hard.
Oh, yeah. It's a main thing.
Like, they stroked it so much until me. And by that point, they were trying to have this softer image, not drive away all the youth. So it was never once mentioned my entire time growing up.
Are you jacking it?
Let's not talk about it.
Let's just not.
It was done in culture, like youth groups when I went to Pentecostal churches and stuff like that. Conversation would be had with like the college students, which were like the assistant, like youth pastors would have these conversations with guys. And so this whole thing is, we're going to get you away from this. This thing was produced before it was promoted. So some guy literally made a DVD box set with men, good Christian role models is the phrasing they use.
Yeah.
So you could watch, and they actually talk tactics and strategy on fighting against the strongholds of the enemy, on how like masturbation's like a crime. And that's the way that they sell it. So that this guy's literally selling fighter jets and military weapons instead of porn.
Right.
So it's a porn replacement. So instead of so it's weird how like we're gonna need one
artillery, assault rifles, fighter jets. They are all quite phallic.
Right.
Oh yeah, there's also that.
Well, that's what I was thinking. I was like, someone's masturbating to this so hard right now.
Nuts all over the country.
So here,
just a light stroke as they watch the video.
Let's talk about India.
Oh yeah,
we don't talk about them all that often. Lauren, do you want to take this one?
Oh crap! I don't have my phone on me. Okay.
You want me to throw it to you?
No, don't
throw the phone.
Throw figuratively.
This was an interesting story.
This was interesting because everybody default assumes this is a Christian thing,
right?
And
that's a good
lo
point.
and behold,
right?
No, it's just
a religious thing.
It's just a religious thing. So we're often talking about how in the U.S. of pseudoscience kind of butts its head into major science.
She said head.
and I picked up butt. There's my soundboard. But what surprised me was that there was an article this week from BBC about how this is happening in India. And in India, I don't know. I when I think of India and science, I think of all those Nobel Prize winners. I think of Higgs boson particles. I think of all those people who, have contributed so much to science. I don't think about the political leaders who maybe subscribe to a slightly different reality.
Like Hindu nationalism?
Yeah.
They have a lot of political leaders in India, though. So, I mean, percentage-wise, it's they have so many people.
So this year at the 106th Indian Science Congress, which, would be pretty big deal, which was inaugurated by Prime Minister Narendra Modi, there was a bunch of scientists, quote unquote scientists, who decided that we're going to let people know about some of this fringe stuff, such as there was an old Hindu text that proved that stem cell research was discovered in India thousands of years ago.
We forgot.
A demon king, Ramayana, had 24 types of aircraft and a network of landing strips in what is now Sri Lanka.
So.
Yeah, I mean, demons, transcend
Yeah, demon kings.
Sure.
Okay. Isaac Newton and Albert Einstein were wrong about gravitational waves, and it should be renamed the Narendra Modi waves.
That's just sucking up to the boss.
Dude, the prime minister tried to name Einstein's theories after himself at a science convention.
Science has a lot more politics in it, I think, than people realize.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
One person says Newton failed to understand gravitational repulsive forces. And Einstein's theories were, quote unquote, misleading.
He invented calculus. He knows nothing.
So the Indian Scientific Congress Association came back out and said, we don't subscribe to any of these beliefs. These people are crazy.
These are not our thoughts and opinions.
They pretty much said everything up to have your money back, which is what they should have done.
That would be embarrassing if you're a collection of geniuses and then somebody comes in the room and is like, the flat earth theory, man.
That's exactly.
Damn it, get out.
Dude.
You do not qualify.
Who invited that guy?
Yeah,
it's the prime minister. We can't say no.
Well, this is part of a global trend towards religiously motivated nationalist movements taking power and trying to influence every aspect of life.
And that's exactly, this is exactly what
the shitty part about being open-minded is you have to crappy people have conversations.
In this case,
it's not always beneficial.
Yeah, India has Hindu nationalists that are in power. We have fucking Mike Pence running everything.
And teabaggers and all of those other groups and their loose knit organizations.
Right. So we're used to it. This blew me away because I'm not used to seeing it.
Right.
So so go India.
Well, yeah, it's just they're they're the world's largest democracy. There's 1 billion people that live there. They have problems. I mean, we have 40% of the population they do.
Oh no, it's closer to they have 4 times the population.
Oh yeah, 4 times. That's right.
Yeah.
Yes, because they're at 1.2.
We're at about 320
million.
Okay,
yeah. So yeah, and they're, but because of just the way the news is constructed, you don't hear a lot of Indian news over here. But that is
I've been going out of my way to try and get more international news, and this one popped up, and It was a doozy.
The anti-intellectualism is out there, but these people, they really think that they are purveying secret truths. Like, they're really, like, surprised that the rest of the world... And, you know, when you, I'm fascinated by the woo suppliers, you know, and all brands. Like, you know, I've mentioned it before.
How can you not be? I mean...
But, yeah. Shermer's book, Why People Believe Weird Things. I mentioned it a few times in this podcast, but he has that chapter, Why Smart People Believe Weird Things. And it's because smart people are better at defending incorrect assumptions that they build upon. So if you're smart, you're more in danger of arguing a poor position.
Which is why I never try to argue with kids from debate, because even if they were so completely wrong, they could out logic and out reason me.
Which is why you don't use logic and reason all the time. Remember, without the emotion centers of the brain, you're not capable of making decisions. So everybody's decisions are emotionally tainted. And
yes,
that is,
I have so many emotions.
Right, we all do. And it's ridiculous to think, and this happens a lot in any gatekeeping conversation, that someone thinks they're being rational. It's like, well, rationality is always colored by how you feel about it. You don't get to be objective.
Which is why I think in scientific communities, there shouldn't be that whole let the other side speak necessarily.
Well, you do let the other side speak, but you have to cite sources.
Right.
The thing that makes the process
Most
of
them
science...
don't, though, so
well,
why
not the
even
pseudoscientists. But in the public forum, people aren't educated enough in our system to notify right away. Like, if you're relatively educated on the sciences and logic, you can generally, within a few moments, know that somebody's talking out of their ass.
Right.
But most people aren't trained to think critically. We don't teach logic as not a mandatory junior high class like it should be. Like, we don't teach people how to, like, look at their own preconceptions. And even, like, speaking to the atheists in the audience, as it were, every atheist who was religious had to go through the process of unlearning and relearning. And that's where I was as a super Christian and really far off into the right. I had to teach myself how to constantly reevaluate, which I now give as the main reason why my politics shifted so far to the left in the last few years, why my belief systems changed so easily, is I've already deconstructed and reconstructed myself once. And I just know that I don't know anything. Like, I'm at best quoting information from sources I trust. At best. Like, I'd have done no natural discovery. And even all my information is anecdotal. So, like, it's just a mess out there, kids. You don't know anything. But let's talk about the Fermi paradox more or something. Into the nerd shit. It is interesting. I think pseudoscience will always be with us.
Yeah.
Because as long as we allow people to have opinions.
Right.
I think it's...
it's just taken hold in a way with social media that is dangerous.
Well, and just media in general.
Yeah.
Like, most people, or not most people, but a surprising amount of people get their medical information from Dr. Oz.
Oh, really?
Well, they can't afford real doctors.
Yeah.
Dr. Oz, Dr. Phil, daytime television is a major medical community. And it's like, no, these guys are...
Yeah, they just Google it.
Jerry Springers.
WebMD that shit.
Yeah,
Dr.
and then
Oz
everyone's got cancer.
Dr. Oz is at least actually a doctor.
Yeah.
He's still a nut job.
Yeah. Well, and
he does it for the ratings.
Carson is a doctor, as we've already covered.
Yes. It was interesting when I was in school. I took a class, and it was like a 1-credit class. Anyway, it was how do you talk about science in public? Like, how do you make sure that it's engaging? Which is so dumb. How do you get it to be engaging? How do you make sure that they understand that there's fake stuff out there? It was a very
how do you weigh evidence?
I would love to take that class.
It was a great class. But it was a lot of marine stuff. So basically, I remember one.
That's great.
I think the topic that we chose was salmon and the sea lions. Sea lions, and then how
that sounds fascinating.
Yeah, it's a great. Yeah. It was a great class. I mean, I took a lot of really great classes. I also know that the world is gonna we failed it. We failed. It's gonna implode on itself, and nothing's gonna bring it back.
We've had other extinctions before.
No,
everything's just gonna be a squid in the future.
Yeah. If anything, it's the marine ones that might survive.
Yeah, we're gonna have it's all gonna be jellyfish blooms everywhere. That's the ocean. And the future life will just be floating tentacles.
Whatever is down in the deep ocean is going to survive again.
Yeah. Whatever horrors lurk beneath will continue to lurk horrifically beneath us.
Yeah.
All right,
Yeah.
that's it for news.
Yay!
We got a new patron,
Oh,
Nathan P., which means
Nice.
we have met our first goal.
Yay.
One Nathan? You're looking for a Nathan? But you playing bingo?
Nathan, congratulations.
The first dollar amount goal.
Oh, solid.
We've been on Patreon since 2014, and we
Nice.
have now met a goal.
Woo!
Sweet.
Yay!
Thank
Good
you so
job.
much.
So
Sorry, Bob.
I am now committed to buying Erin a new mic,
Yay!
and we're already halfway done with the upgrade, so
Nice.
one more to go.
Whoop, whoop.
So thank you
That's
very much
nice.
for
I
that.
love it.
Yay, you're
if you saw
helping.
my excited face, everyone, you know.
Hold on. Let me get a picture for Instagram.
Yeah, you
No,
guys
let's
do
not do that.
Instagram
That's a
Yes. Done.
And we got some feedback from Daryl G via Patreon.
He always says it like that.
I know, it's like, oh, okay. No, it's good stuff. I read it already.
Daryl G via Patreon. We got, I am delighted to hear this. Erin has been a welcome addition every time she's been on. That was in response to my announcement to the patrons that Erin's now our co-host.
Again, delightful was the word, and I
Fucking
like that, and I
delightful.
want to be introduced
Full
as
of
that
delight.
all the time.
That's what's
Delighted to
bring
hear
her on
this.
stage that way. She's delightful.
Welcome addition was this wording.
Yeah, I know, but I just want to pretend like
Okay.
everybody thinks I'm a
Don't take
delightful
this away
human.
from
Yeah,
her.
why? Gosh.
No,
What
no,
do you
take
get
this
out
away
of
from
that?
her. The people who compliment you first are always the first people to pull it back.
I know.
Like they feel like this happens all the time. People will tell you you're smart for 15 years until you disagree with them.
Yeah.
And then they're like, you're not so smart. It's like, bitch, I know who I am.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
You don't just, yeah.
I mean, I do that to people too. I'm
Yeah.
like, here, let me give you that compliment. And they're like,
They're like,
yeah,
hey.
great. And I'm like, wait,
Yeah.
hold on.
Wait a minute.
Never
I
mind.
agree to every compliment, and people think I'm
Good.
good. I'm like, you said it.
Yeah. It's,
right.
it's
Watch
good
your
point.
mouth.
From Jimmy Nine Toes via Patreon. Hey, episode 285 was great, and I'm excited to hear from Erin regularly. She is a blast. And then from Leonard McLean via Facebook. I love the podcast. P.S. The fact that the little one speaks up sometimes just makes you guys more down to earth. Real show rather than the rest of the overly produced / edited crap that is killing the open media that we now enjoy that is known as podcasts. Keep
Oh, you're
up the
talking about-
awesome shows. I listen to every show.
You're talking about the NPR podcasting?
I'm guessing, yeah.
Yeah, because radio lab, radio lab.
I mean, I like listening to them sometimes, but then I'm like,
Sometimes it's exhausting, though, that first
yeah.
30 seconds.
But a
Right.
lot of podcast listeners are just listening to podcasts to have conversation while they're doing another activity, like
Right.
truck driving or cleaning houses or whatever. So this organic feel, I think, would really fit that need really
Yeah.
well. Because every once in a while, a dog barks or a baby cries for a tit.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, really, like it's
Yeah.
just a normal life.
Right.
Like,
Tit delivered.
yeah.
Mhm.
And then they're quiet.
Yeah.
See, that's how
Yeah.
it works, which is why they keep crying.
Yeah.
Homie.
But hey, you don't have any words available at that age. You can't be like, here,
Right.
mom, give me some titty.
Yeah.
I need to eat. I'm a growing child.
From Chim via email. Hello, Dustin, Lauren, Kylie, Rocco, and Bucky.
And Erin. That's not what it says, guys, but I did get this email.
I saw that.
I wanted the opportunity to say a big thank you for what you do. I live in London, UK, and have been an atheist for over a year now. Your
Aw.
show, coupled with other atheist podcasts, have helped me with my journey. I look forward to listening to your show every week and gaining new knowledge from Dustin off the degree. Lauren is awesome. Get her the soundboard, please. And Kylie's giggles make the show alive.
Oh,
Pew, 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 soundboard.
Oh, gosh.
Oh, by the way, all your listeners are not all white. I'm Nigerian.
Yes.
Yeah.
We love to hear it.
Yeah. I had a feeling when you talked about that, I was like, I don't think.
No.
No, we know that.
Yeah.
It's just
Yeah, it was just a oopsie.
it's just a generic thing.
Didn't put
Well,
it in
and
the
we-
survey.
And one funny
Atheist
thing.
podcasts tend to fall statistically on
Yeah.
Right. And outside of the former British Empire,
Mm-hmm.
most of the listeners we hear from are expats from a country that was once part of the British Empire. We don't get a lot of feedback from, someone in Nigeria who's not a Brit or American.
Right.
But
Yeah.
if you had followers out there, you would. I mean, like,
And I know we do,
yeah.
but yeah. So anyway, thank you for that. That's awesome. I'm glad we were able to help. From Rosalie via email, I just listened to your last show of January 8th. Loved your show again. Give Kylie a kiss for me.
Aw.
Another mispronunciation, I'm afraid.
Kiss delivered.
Oh, damn it.
Diaspora is pronounced with a long I. You pronounce it with a long E. Jason started it. I know it's diaspora. I actually argued it with Rosalie a little bit, and then I was thinking about it again. I was like, wait a minute. I'm sobering up enough now
that I see that I might have
Yes,
been.
it is diaspora. It is definitely diaspora.
Well, let's just blame it on Jason Ward.
I blame so many things on Jason.
Seriously.
Sorry, and I like how I'm just like throwing both his names out there because I don't give a fuck.
Yeah, there you go. They embrace your one F word per episode.
We don't have a limit like that.
Sounds natural. Oh, she's just only done it once so far this time.
Oh.
Have I?
You've been
I
counting?
swore like 6 times.
I swear I've been swearing the whole time.
Yeah.
I swear
I've been swearing.
And then wrapping up the survey responses for what do you like about the show? We got conversational, informative nature, good mix of factual information and news. I love Dustin off the degree. Baby noises, good balance of male-female voices, which actually makes it easy to listen to.
It's true.
Love the responsiveness to fans
Scientifically.
with comments and corrections. Feels like being part of a family.
Right. Well,
that was
I like how you're like, it's
loving
true.
family.
It's true. It's a, but I thought men don't like to listen to ladies. I'm being
You're
very...
only surrounded by douchebag men. How many times do we need to tell you this?
Listen, the thing is that like I am just on a tear today. I am on an emotional roller coaster and I am feeling real.
All right, the next one we got, Lauren, the baby. The guess.
Oh my God, stop.
And I like your take on theology from the SDA perspective. I was a JW for 30 years. Though quite different in respects, they both grew out of the Adventist movement and similar in their fundamentalism. Thank you. Yeah, nice. the baby is sometimes fun.
What a joy.
Yeah. Yeah, she's adorable,
amazing.
but doesn't like being ignored this long.
I'm never having children.
Me neither.
Dude, child-free life, totes respect.
Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, the JW and Adventist similarities are large, and the distinctions are also quite large.
Yeah,
but there's definitely some kinsmanship there. Is that the right word?
People are attracted to the energy put off by people who used to share in the same suffering.
Yeah.
Well, that's because we just want to feel understood and not alone.
Yeah, it's totally.
Which is why you hang out with douchebag people.
Yeah. And okay, the next subject.
You see, you didn't need to do that.
Wow. Sorry, I just had to get one in too.
Okay, that's fine.
She was like, let me get
good.
it was good, but she's like, I'm gonna
multitasking. This poor kid.
All right, the next several don't really need any comment. Dustin off the degree. It's informative while still being relatable. Down to earth conversations. Dustin off the degree. And everything.
Oh, that's
I want to
so
point out
unhelpful.
I want to point out here that Dustin himself chooses which emails he reads aloud. So he chose those and goes, those are about me. You guys don't talk.
Yeah.
My part's great, by the way, everyone.
He's like, we got to get through this already, okay?
It is informative. They're right. It's interesting. You pick subjects and you talk about them in an educated fashion. That's cool.
And it's great. And I think, and I don't know if you edited it out. Probably not. Maybe not, because I didn't listen to myself. But there was a point in time when I was just looking at you with my mouth open, like, how do you know all this stuff? I am so impressed right now.
Nerds have a lot of free time.
That in.
What's that?
I did leave that in.
Oh, good.
Well, you went to school.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, I mean, it was an actual thing he wanted to do with his life for a period of time. Like, I get that.
Hence the degree.
Well, now but the thing is that now you're using your degree in such a good way. And I'm like, I don't use my degree.
How's your marine biology doing?
That's why podcasts literally were invented, though.
Right.
Like, it's so a bunch of nerds can be like, you know what I know a lot about? This one thing. Let's talk.
Otters.
But who doesn't love otters?
Yes.
They're the best. They're the most attractive
in their
gay
armpits.
people.
They really, they really are the reason why I'm $80,000 in debt. Woo!
Yeah. And for what?
I think technically I'm an otter.
And for what could be
I'm not
improved?
big enough for a bear.
All right.
Manipulator.
Oh.
And for what could be improved, just more content. Dustin off the degree should be timestamped so they could be listened back.
That's smart.
That is.
I like that one because there's a lot of information.
I used to timestamp every episode for every single story.
God.
That was brutal.
Yeah, I was like, who does that? You do. Oh, yeah, I figured it.
But I could definitely pull off time stamping, dusting off the degree, and news when the feedback starts. That wouldn't be a lot of extra work.
Like it's like chapters. It's like this is this section, and then that'd at least I think help people navigate. But an hour, it's difficult. I know when I'm looking through something at podcasts, it's just 13 minutes. Let's see where we're at.
Right. Did they say content? I mean, what's that mean?
They just want more. There's always going to be thirsty listeners who want more than you can give them.
Like, what do you want?
But it's a good thing to know that there's hungry mouths out there. Right. But nobody has the time to double the workload of the one guy who does all the editing. Because that's the funnel that it has to go through.
Yep.
So here's how you get more. You become a Patreon.
You're right. Because then when I don't shut up for 20 minutes about some obscure, archaic, dumb thing, or we go off on a tangent, he doesn't edit it so much as he just chops it in half and goes, all right, Patreons, fucking deal with it.
Yep.
And that saves him time too, because we do these chunks. I don't know, like we might talk about the history of cheddar cheese or something for 10 minutes. And it's like, some people care about that, but really it's a slug. And us nerds, you know how we get in our little circles. And it's like, knowledge.
Yeah.
It's so pointless.
And then the final one was...
nihilism again.
Maybe a small segment to highlight specific flaws in religious texts, like contradictions.
Oh, yeah, no. Ooh. Did you... Okay, yeah, no, I'm about to... Oh, but have you guys seen that post that one guy made? It's online where he shows all the inaccuracies and hypocrisies in the Bible and how they all interact with each other. And it's a it's crazy how busy it is.
Yeah.
Like if you actually go through the Bible and treat it like a historical document and go, okay, it says this here, but then it says this here.
Right.
Now, I won't make that a segment, but I can cover some of the most notable ones, some of the most significant in upcoming Dustin Off the Degree segments.
This is
convenient.
This is what I like about those though, because I'm Bible illiterate.
So are most Bible believers. Trust me, I have a moderate education.
Yeah.
He has a pretty good education in it. And even the parts that I know, I still double check a lot.
Right.
Because the reason things like it's a lot of stuff where you can get a massive amount of casual knowledge in the Bible just by being in church.
Right.
Without noticing that they really only do like the same 17 subjects in different flavors.
We're out of time.
No.
Yeah.
Lauren, you did a great job taking care of Kylie.
Nice job, Lauren.
She should be getting all the money. You guys get dozens of dollars for this.
Yeah.
You get all the ones of dollars.
Dozens of dollars.
So many dozens.
Yep. And Erin, thank you so much for joining us and joining the team.
Good job.
Yeah, thanks.
Good job.
And
My
Mikey,
first official.
you were entertaining as always.
God damn it.
Yep.
That's what you do.
Thanks. Way to entertain.
When is this going out?
Tuesday.
Okay, Tuesday. All right, so if you're in Boise, the very next day, go downtown to the Mode. I'm headlining a comedy show. And then on the 26th of January in Boise, Idaho, 2019, my storytelling musical show, Whiskey Ginger, is performing. We're doing a show on redefining masculinity. And I'm going to sing. Did you guys know I did? I sang, and we'll be telling stories.
We've been to one of your Whiskey Ginger shows.
Oh, yeah, awesome. You did. Yeah. So this is the reworking of that. It's improved. I don't have Thomas Paul on this one, who is a really popular local musician. I've got Nick Coots, formerly of the band Space Car, because he lives 2 doors from me, and he's great. Nice. So anyway, if those are in January, and after that, good luck. You could find me on social media if you can spell Mikey correctly, and I'm not telling you how.
And if you want to join us for the potluck with the Atheist Nomads, follow the link to the meetup page for Humanists of Idaho in the show notes.
And that's on the 27th, right?
That's on the 27th.
Okay.
At noon. You can find the link at the show notes at atheistnomads.com/286, which if you didn't know, you can always find the full show notes for any episode. atheistnomads.com/episode number. And remember, not all those who wander are lost. Thank you for listening to another episode of Atheist Nomads. You can find show notes and contact information at atheistnomads.com. Follow us on Twitter at Atheist Nomads, and like us on Facebook at facebook.com/atheistnomads. Please subscribe to the show in iTunes, Stitcher, or your podcatcher of choice, and while you're there, feel free to leave us a review. Theme music is courtesy of Sturdy Fred. Until next time, this has been the Atheist Nomads.